don't know if I did that, I'd be in traction. Before we bring up Peter, we're going to bring our co-host today, BJ, Mr. Bernard Smith. I thought you were going to come in here and flip over.
Oh, he can flip. He can flip.
Okay, now I am in traction. Well, without further ado, Peter Lee Thomas! Well, hello.
Check, check. Hello, hello.
You're here. He's here. God, you got a huge fan club here. Are you loving it? I know.
I don't do too well on a stage like this. Just say that now.
You're. Listen, just sitting there, you can feel the vibes of love. You know.
You guys are great. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Well, you know, how did you get involved in this wonderful thing called stunt work?
Well, it's funny. David and I know a very special person named Angela Rockwood, who I just overheard is going to be here very soon in the next couple of weeks, I'm guessing.
In about 2 months. Yeah.
Angela used to beat me up as a kid. Angela was she was dating my martial art teacher, Tony Nguyen, at the time, and Dustin Nguyen, later in the future, her husband, who's an actor and a teacher of mine. He would also come and work out with us kids. We were like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And we used to see Angela pulling in her car, and she would drive up from San Jose and San Francisco and go, wow, look at this beautiful woman. And we're these young kids, and she's this beautiful, tall woman that walked in, and we just fell in love with her. So, yeah, she used to spar with us. She used to beat us up because she was getting private lessons from our teacher. So of course she was good. And this was when she was walking prior to her accident. I lost...
About 25 years ago?
Just about, at least 22 to 25 years ago. And I lost contact with her. I moved away, and I had, changed phone numbers and whatnot. And I just lost touch with her and everything that happened. And fast forward, I think 10 or 15 years later, I think this was when MySpace was a thing. She reached out to me, and she says, Peter, this is Angela. I don't know if you remember who I am. And I said, of course. I looked at, what she's doing these days, and there was no picture of a wheelchair. There was nothing that would make me think otherwise. So I remember getting her address and driving up from Orange County, where I was living at the time, to meet her at her home, where she's at now in Los Angeles. And I opened the door, and I saw her in a chair, and I thought the first thing that came to mind was she broke her leg kicking some guy, because I remember how much she used to give us, a run for our money. And then she said, sit down, I have a lot to tell you. And I've been through a lot of different transitions, within the last 10 to 15 years since you've seen me. So that was it. And we sat down, and I stayed there for about 3 days, hanging out with her and helping her and just going through the whole thing. And she told me about her accident and what had happened. But it didn't change anything about how I felt about her as a sister, as a good friend, she was my soul sister, and I lost contact of her, because at that time the internet really wasn't as it is today. So thankfully for social media, we got in touch. Yeah. But that's pretty much how I started martial arts, or better yet, how I met David is through Angela. And but prior to that, I was doing other forms of martial arts like Kyokushin, Kai Karate, and I did a little bit of Kung Fu, and then I got into, later on, as I grew older, I got into doing the stuff that I'm doing now, which is the Jeet Kune Do concepts, which is Bruce Lee's martial art philosophy. I studied with a man named Dan Inosanto. He's still my teacher. He's in his 80s. He is Bruce Lee's closest friend and the man that carried on the art when Bruce Lee passed away. So I feel like it's my duty to continue to pass on the martial arts and to continue to evolve as an artist, not to stay crystallized or to stay, you know, in a one way of thinking type of mindset. So I'm getting out of, you know, always doing the same thing twice the same way. And that's kind of the model is you always have to turn over every single stone and make sure you try something that maybe you wouldn't have seen, you know, with the same eyes twice again. So
Right.
I do apologize. I give very long-winded answers. So
No, but they're
just
so wonderful. You can
smack
just
me around.
I get lost in them, you know, and going with them. But now, Bernard, don't you do martial arts?
Yes. I also, when I was 18, I started doing capoeira. That was the first one martial art I done, and I think it's like probably like 18 months or few that I had done it, and it was because I usually watch movies and all that stuff like Bruce Lee, The Red Dragons, The Iron Fist, everything, Jackie Chan, everything, and
Well,
Bruce Lee, and like your.
Yeah, and when I heard you were coming, I said, okay, we've got to get Bernard to interview you because, you know, I show you looked him up on the internet, huh?
Oh yes, I did, and I was like shocked and surprised and how talented he is and how he can like really be in a real fight like a UFC fighter and stuff like that. Because like the way he is, like he's amazing, and like I also watch like a lot of your YouTube channel, when you show like people and you help people like to be in shape and fitness and I see him like more than like martial art. I also see him like a fitness helper to help others that want to be in shape, because there are other people that wants to be in good shape and feel proud of themselves, and it really is like good. And when you do that, like when I see you do that, that makes me feel like, wow, nobody can never talk bad about this guy because he's amazing. Because if somebody does say that, like then they just need to pay close attention of how and what he's doing to bring hope and put a smile on their face. That makes you feel good, and it also makes me feel good too.
When the name Halle Berry comes to mind, what when I say Halle Berry, what can you say?
Where do I begin? Jeez, I've always been a fan of hers as long as I can remember. My mother was a big fan of hers. My sister's a big fan of hers. And one day I get a knock on my door, if you will, and it's a friend of a friend, and he said, hey, you know, I have this really special person that is looking to be trained for a specific role in a film. And I think you should show up at this address at this time and you know and see what you think. So I arrive and I had no idea, to be honest, who I was going to meet. And I show up and it's Halle Berry in front of me. I go, oh my gosh. So we sat down and talked about what she was looking for and you know, just about life. We talked about several different topics, and she was one of those human beings you just meet once in a lifetime, and you go, wow, this is a really special person that I don't. It's like if you met, you know, Michael Jackson, or if you met, you know, Bruce Lee, if you met, you know, any of these people that just come around and they're so special and they have this gift that they just know how to truly connect and how to just bring out the best in you, and that's what I felt within that very short period of time of 2 hours that we sat and had our first meeting together. And so she said, hey, look, I got this movie coming up, and I really need to look like this. And I looked at all your stuff, and I would love to work with you. And you have everything that I need for this character. So let's start to work together. And that was really it. I think she didn't really have a trainer at the time as well, so it was just a really organic transition. And we just started to become friends throughout the years. I've been working with her for, geez, it's almost been like 4 years now. And it's just been, I just saw her this morning, and I did mention where we are today and what we're doing. So I know she's extremely busy at the moment because she's in pre-production of this film that she's doing for the first time. She's going to be a director. This is her first directorial debut on this film. And it's about, I hope I can say this, it's about a woman mixed martial arts fighter, a champion that is retired, that's coming out of retirement. And she's a mother, and you know, there's this whole beautiful story that I can't say much about it, but when you see it, and you'll remember what I'm saying here, it's going to be one of a kind of a movie. And so,
Amazing. So
yeah.
you're actually working with her on this film?
Yeah. I'm helping her stay physically fit to do all the choreography that's going to be needed, and we've definitely spiced up her martial art training. So she's doing a lot of kicking, a lot of punching, a lot of just a variety of mixed martial arts that you know, a fighter would need to go through. And that's the thing, I think people, when they think of martial arts, they think of this flashy thing that people do, but they don't see all the hours of work that it takes behind the scenes, the running, the skipping rope, the shadow boxing, the dieting, cutting the weight. That's usually the hardest thing, is getting to a certain weight. And so my good brother over here, Aaron, this man right here, I couldn't do any of this without him. This is my good closest, this is probably my best friend, brother, and all the other titles that I'm forgetting to give him. He actually is a trainer of a woman fighter named Chris Cyborg, who's the #1 UFC female champ right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, she's been undefeated for 10 years. She has over 10 years. She's the best of the best. She's the Wonder Woman of mixed martial art fighting. And so knowing Aaron, I mean, it's just all about alignment and timing, because I knew he was training her, and we always hang out, and then I'm training Hallie, and it just came to be, hey, she needs to study somebody as a character, and who better than to look, you know, any further is to go directly to Aaron to meet Chris. So I brought Hallie recently to go meet Chris Cyborg at her gym in Huntington Beach. And that was fireworks waiting to happen.
So you're all working together?
Yeah, so that's kind of how this all happened.
It's interesting how, you know, it is that, not necessarily a domino effect, but this thing when, you know, you touch one life, another life, it's like, that's, you know, even here, I mean, now we're all connected in a way.
Yes. So, you know, that was just something that was effortless, and we manifested it just through knowing each other all these years, and it actually came into fruition, and it worked. It worked its magic, and so now that's happening. So that's an actual reality where now Hallie is able to study the best fighter in the world. She's looking at her posture. She's looking at the way she moves. She's studying even you know, just the way she talks, and all these little gestures and things that certain people might overlook. You know, because when you see Chris, she's from Brazil. She's just the consummate martial artist. She's good at everything. She's good at boxing, good at kickboxing, good at wrestling, good at Muay Thai, good at you know, just all these disciplines. She's a natural athlete. I think she was born to do this. And when you see somebody like Hallie meet with the best in the world, it just magic happens. You know, real recognizes real, and they're both the best at what they do. And I think that this is going to be just a one-of-a-kind movie, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. And I wouldn't believe it if you told me, you know,
God, I can't wait
several
to see
years
it.
ago that I'm going to be doing this.
But
So
you're doing it, and you never know what's around the corner.
Definitely.
You know, sometimes you like get down, it's like nothing's happening, all of a sudden, click, you open the door, and your life changes.
Yeah.
Now, how many people here love to train, or would love to be a stunt person. Yeah. So let's say if I came to you, with my one pack.
He's in good shape. He's doing great.
Well, thank you. But let's say I came. It's like, how would you take me in? I mean, of course, I'm not, Halle Berry's all big and beefy now, right?
She is, the thing about her is she's always been very athletic. I really think that there hasn't been a coach to really push her to a point where she's uncomfortable. And that's the difference between what I do with her and what other trainers have done. And she's had the best trainers in the business. I just think that sometimes from now knowing her, that she just hasn't been pushed to this uncomfort level where, because most of the time when we work out, it's not like me just telling her, okay, you're going to do this, and now you're going to do this, and now you're going to do that. I like to do it with her. Right. So then there's now a healthy competitiveness. Now she has to compete with me. And I love to see that fire in her come out, because otherwise, you feel like you're just doing it alone.
Right. Now, let's say if Bernard said, hey, I want to train with you, or
sure.
if I came, how would you go about that?
Well, first, I think all of us have something beautiful to bring to the table of I guess if you want to call them attributes. We all have attributes. We all have things that are within us that may be better. And often I will even show something that I can do, but I don't favor doing it, but I'll teach it just because sometimes the person might be better at it than I am. And often that's the case. They'll have a really nice, let's say, left kick. My left kick is not as great. My right kick is better, but they have a really beautiful left kick. And so we'll work on that. We'll work on that strength, but we'll also work on the weaknesses. So what I would originally do is I'll look at the person as an athlete, and I'll see what their strengths are and then develop from there. But I think it's important also to be very well-rounded, because if you have a multitude of things, and if you're training a variety of disciplines, then it's easy later on to start doing film fighting or action acting, as we call it, because then you can say, okay, well, in the script it says da-da-da-da-da, so let's go ahead and make this really, really spicy looking. And that's what I'll do with a person, as talented as BJ. I saw his awesome flip and his splits. I can't even do the splits anymore, so that's my New Year's resolution. He just inspired me back there, and he didn't even know. So it's always each one teach one. I'm a big believer in that, and I think what he did, I'm standing back there going, oh, that's a nice split. It's like, that's something I need to get back to doing. I have this leg stretcher machine that's just collecting dust right now. It's over here on the side, so I'm going to bust that out come January 1 and start working on getting back to that. So I'm going to come look him up, and I'm going to be asking him for some advice. But yeah, that's what I would do to come back around to the question. I would look at what, let's say, David is good at. Maybe he has a really good left hook or something. We want to really capitalize on that in this scene. So we'll work on that. We'll work on it, and then we'll just put in a lot of extra stuff in between to make it really insulated. And then this picture, this canvas, this blank canvas starts to come alive. And then you can start changing, when it's needed. And oftentimes, and that's the beauty about this, and you guys already know this as actors and performers, you have an idea of what you want to do, but then when you're actually on the set and you have all these cameras around you and you have, people, and you're in this moment and you're fully present, things change, and you have to be willing to adapt, and you have to be like a chameleon. You can say, okay, well, I worked on this, but now it's going to look like this, or I have this abundance of room, but now we got to do it in a small little hallway where, you get these moves that need to be done here in this small little area versus this big giant, open space where we had an opulence of room to move in. So that's what we would do. We just look at, the actor's strengths, the actor's weaknesses, and then we'd find kind of like a common ground and work between that. But it's really all about the attributes. I think that's important. And
does that include, like, let's say I have a neck problem or a lower back problem?
Yes.
Do you put everything in?
That's, you modify things. If I know, and I'm always, asking, are there any injuries I should know about? What's your history? And you look into all that as well. You look at even sometimes genetics. People are blessed with these God-given talents and genetics, and you got to extract that from them and squeeze that out of them, because that's what's going to show and that's what's going to look good.
Now, let's say Angela came to you.
You're right.
Can you work with Angela in one way or the other?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I need to go, and if she's watching this, I love you, Angela. Her and I have worked together, and that's what we started doing. Although it's interesting how things come full circle. She used to beat me up, when I was much younger. She was this really good athlete, and then life happens and things change, and now she's in a chair. But that doesn't stop her from still having the drive and the desire to be a martial artist. Because now, when in the past, when we worked together, we would do things. Dustin would be here watching us, and it's Angela in a chair. I would sit down in a chair just like this, and I would still do the same things we used to do together. It's just in a different circumstance now.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you can't do it, because she clearly demystified that idea of not being able to do things, because she's quadriplegic, as you guys probably already know. Thank heavens to like stem cell surgery and the research that's done in that. She has a lot more dexterity in areas and movement in areas that I think will help in the long run. But we're still able to do this. We're still able to work out, and that's something that we've proved. We've already done it. So
I love it that you could work with anybody.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's at the most extreme case, paraplegic. It's, there's a lot.
Quadriplegic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
quadriplegic.
By the way, I wore this. I've never worn this just because I knew you were coming in, and I know you're good friends with Dustin.
Yeah.
I bought this from him. Hold on. I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
stand up. So I'm wearing it for the first time.
Yes! Oh, I love it. That's cool. I love it. I can tell by the dragon here, of course.
Right.
This
Oh, the
this
dragon.
whole, that's really nice.
Well, he taught years ago. Dustin taught for us. Dustin Wynn, as you of course know from the original 21 Jump Street.
Yes. Yeah.
And I met him the same day I met Angela when she
Yep.
came to a Meet the Biz class. So I wore this for you because I know you're very
you.
close friends.
I just saw him. We took a trip to Asia. I worked on a little project there in Thailand, and we figured, while we're shooting, why don't we stop over to Vietnam? Never been to the country, and I would love to see it. So he lives there. He works as an actor there. He's like Tom Cruise when he walks around there. Everybody knows who he is. You can't even go to the grocery store. It's crazy.
Some crazy stunts he
Yeah.
does. Even
Yep.
the new movie he did, with jumping over the roof,
Yes.
helicopter choppers,
Yep.
everything.
Yep. Yeah, it's when you watch. I just recently watched Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan. It's one of my favorite Jackie Chan films, and I forgot how good it was. And you watch the whole film, and you go, "Oh, that's great." I'm sure there was like wires used here, there's a green screen used there. That was back in the day when there was no green screen. I don't even think they used it in those films with that budget. But you can just see the skill and the things that this guy. I mean, he needs to be. He needs to have statues all around the world, with the stuff that he does, because you look at how many bones he's broken at the end of the movie, you look at the outtakes, and you'll see he knows if I jump from here to there, it's going to be epic, and the shot's going to be there, but I will break my leg when I do it. And he does it knowing that that's going to happen.
This is Dustin.
This is Jackie Chan.
Oh, Jackie Chan.
But where I'm going around with this is Dustin, when I watch him work, it's almost like when I see his stuff, and I don't know if he knows this, but one of my favorite things of his is, almost not relative to film. It's a commercial. He did a commercial in Japan. It's a Levi's commercial, and he portrays Bruce Lee. And it is like the most iconic, legendary thing you've seen, and I wouldn't know who else other than Bruce Lee to cast for this. And it's just, he's ripped, he has a tank top on, it's shot kind of like in the 70s era, so it has that like James Brown funk music in the back, which I love. And it's just fantastic to see. And when I saw that, oh my gosh, and he really embodies that character. It's extremely believable. he is the closest
And
thing.
such a sweetheart.
Yeah,
He's so loving.
he's very intense looking when you see him. You know, you're just like, man, this guy. If you just walk past him at the mall or something, you'd go, man, this guy looks like Bruce Lee or something. Man, what is he doing? Who is this guy? And then you sit to him, and he just opens up, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a fantastic intellect. He reads a lot. He studies. He meditates every day. And I think he's a vampire. He never ages. This guy just like looks like
That's
he's
what I said too. I said the same thing, just
straight out
like
of
that.
straight out of a Blade movie. He's a vampire or something. But yeah, he's a good man. But anyhow, so I am just again thank you for having me here and for letting me be a part of this fantastic just
Oh, no problem.
energy.
We were
You guys
excited
are
to
awesome.
have you here.
Thank you. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now.
What brings you the most joy?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm gonna have to dig deep on this one. Honestly, seeing my mother, my mom, she's my number one hero. She raised us three kids on her own, single mom. Grew up in a really rough part of Orange County in Westminster area and Anaheim. A lot of bad places, a lot of gangs. My high school looked like a prison. We actually had metal detectors when we'd have to go into school. So it was, yeah, I had a lot of Samoan friends, a lot of Vietnamese friends, a lot of Mexican and black friends growing up. And that was just the demographic there, you know, really was that culture that was always around me. And I wouldn't have it any other way because those are still such great friends of mine today. And I got to experience things that I would have never experienced. I'm originally from Chicago, so I would go back to Chicago, see my father, and then come back and, you know, in Orange County, and see the contrast, the dichotomy of the two worlds. But if I had to boil it down to one thing, it's always my mom. She's a superhero. She was my mom. She was my dad. She was my teacher. She was somebody that wasn't always around much because she had to work. And I only got to see her, you know, just before I went to school and late at night and on the weekends. So that was it. So it's kind of like my brother and sister raised me, and yeah, she's my number one inspiration, I think. And it's what I wake up every day when I put my feet on the ground. I just say, man, you know, when I'm feeling tired and I feel sore and I feel like I just can't go on another day, I just think about her and I think about some of the stories that she had and that she's told me over the years. And I come from a very strong-willed mother, so a lot of those things I think rub off, you know, on us. We are our mothers, we are our fathers, even if sometimes it's not what you want to hear, but that's what we get.
I love that you say that because it's, you know, the joy of family.
Yes.
You know, the joy of family. I could still, you know, my dad passed, God, in 2002.
Yeah.
But he's still here with me,
Yes.
and just thinking about him, you know, sometimes we cry, but sometimes most of the time for me, the crying is from the joy and the happiness of it, and we could focus on that because we think, oh, crying, that's a negative thing, but it's the joy of the tears of having them in our lives.
Yeah, the strongest people ever that I've ever met. They're the most sensitive. They're the most sensitive people, and they have a lot of, you know, they pull from a deep well of emotion, and it's good, but sometimes it could be, you know, a double-edged sword. It could work against you, but most of the time it works in your favor.
Yeah, because there's always like when there are things like you feel down and you feel like there's no one there, but there is. You just didn't see it. And when you do, there's like your friends, your family, like anyone that's close to you. Like there always anyone that's standing there right beside you, and that's your real true hero. Even like from movies and stuff like that, but that's your real true hero right there. That will, even though like had to do things, but will sacrifice everything to be there just to see how amazing and just to see you achieve and see you happy still and still be like, wow. Because it's always a good thing. Like it's a good feeling and it's a proud thing when you have that fire in you, like you said, and it's very emotional. And we all cry all the time, and we don't have to hold it in like just to act tough and all that stuff, because we're all human beings and we all bleed the same way too. And there's nothing different about it. I mean, and we be told that we are special to them because we mean that much to them, that very much to them, and that's why there is like a good hope and good feelings there that brings joy around the world. You keep that there, like you learn from it, you can share it with the others to show the world that there's still good people out there that still even doesn't know what you're going through, but you tell them what you're going through. And it's just like the same thing that you've been through, like from childhood and all. Like that is your brother and sister that you want to make them happy and joy and just be like, tell them everything is going to be all right, no matter what.
Definitely. Now, we have a couple more questions. Do you have a couple more questions?
Oh,
And
yes.
What we're going to do is take maybe 3 or 4 from the audience, take a break, and then we're going to get to work with Peter.
I remember this. What was it like when you played the cast crew of Black Salt?
That was Black Salt was a fun project. I got to work with director Ben Ramsey, who's worked with Michael Jai White and a bunch of other people. He's done a lot of films. I think one of them was called Blood and Bone, and good films. A lot of action. He's really good in the action directing. I have to say, he knows. You know, being a martial artist himself, he knows like what angles and what stuff to look at, and it was a really great experience. Only because the character I played was a yakuza. It was a yakuza guy, a Japanese gangster. So we had these masks that they look like these really kind of creepy looking samurai masks, and we had suits on, business suits. It was almost like a Reservoir Dogs looking outfit, and we had guns, and we had to shoot. We started filming at 6 p.m., but we didn't stop until 6 a.m. So I got to see the sun come up. So we're working all through the clock, and I see these guys, these other Japanese stunt guys. They're like, you know, taking shots from the guy down below, and they're on the roof. They have to fall down, and when they do it again, they have to hit this thing and then hit this thing, and then finally they land. So the timing that it takes to do these stunts, I mean, it's so risky. But when you get the shot, and again, it goes to show how important it is to train and to be fit, because when you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to be at the top. You have to be the best and the best, and it's truly inspiring to watch these guys do this without any wires, without any special effects, no green screen. So I think that was my favorite moment is on Black Salt, looking at these guys and just looking around, going, man, I can't believe I'm even doing this with these guys. These guys are crazy. What's going on? And I got to work with a good friend of mine, Chris Balualua. He's a really talented stunt guy. He's worked on Black Panther. He's worked on Fast and the Furious and a bunch of other movies. He had a really cool scene with Danny Trejo recently. So yeah, he's a good stunt guy, and working with Chris alongside guys like that, it helps you raise your game. You have to be good. You have to be just as good as they are, because you know, I think it's like, you know, birds of a feather flock together. You gotta. If you're feeling weak, you look over and you see Chris. He's getting pumped up over there, like, all right, I gotta do this. And working with guys like Kinyamba, he's another great actor. He's an African-American actor, fantastic guy. Just, you know, there was moments where I would see him just pump himself up because it's 4 a.m, you're tired, you've been on your feet for this whole time, and very little to no breaks because you got a shooting schedule and it needs to be done. Otherwise, you know, when the sun comes up, you can't really get this shot, because then you're working against the sun, and it changes the whole perspective. So all these things into consideration, I think that was my most just sought after moment is looking at all that in retrospect now and seeing this and going, wow, man, I can't believe. And that's really the thing, is when you work on a film, every time I work on anything, at the end of the day, if you don't look at your your partner or the director, and you don't look and say, it is an absolute miracle that we even finished this. If that is not said, then you didn't make a movie, because that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's an absolute miracle, because it's chaos. Things happen. You're like, oh, we can't do that. We got to do this now. Oh man, so and so just broke his leg. Well, we got to move this guy in over here, send him that way. So
Really got to be in the moment.
Yeah, it truly is that. And like Marlon Brando said, everybody's an actor. Everybody. It doesn't matter. Even if you've never taken an acting class, I think that's what made guys like him so great, is he's just himself. And we all have something great to bring.
Yeah. What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
To be happy, healthy, prosperous, wise, and more importantly, to I live next to a high school. I live next to Fairfax High School off Melrose, and I see these kids every day. I see them every single day. I sit there, and on my stairs, I have these stairs that go down. It's kind of like I live in New York. I sit out there with a paper and a coffee, and I just watch and I observe. And I see these kids, and they go over to Starbucks, and they get these big, giant, no offense to people that do this, but they're on their phone. They're trying to hook up their bird or something. They're on their phone. They have this big coffee next to them, and they're walking across the street without even looking, and they walk. I see this happen all the time. They walk right into stop signs with their head, bang, like that. And it's funny at first, but it goes to show that you gotta stay, you gotta be woke. You gotta stay awake. You gotta look around. I just want that generation. I want this generation, the millennials, to put that away, to look around, and to be present, to be connected. Because I'll tell you what, about 5 years ago, I was walking across a crosswalk as a pedestrian, and not many people know this, but I was walking, I look left, I look right, I look left, and bang, I get hit by a car. No pads, no stunts, no cameras, no director saying cut, action. I get hit by a car going 50 miles an hour, and my legs go over my head. I'd probably go as high as that metal air conditioning unit there. We have this all surveillance camera, so one day maybe I'll show you what it looks like, but it looks like straight out of a Jackie Chan movie. My head smashes the guy's windshields out, my feet go over my head, and when the guy steps on his brakes, I shoot out in front. This is on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, and that crosswalk no longer exists because of what happened to me, because several people died in this intersection. They had like a name for it, like Dead Man's Walk or something at the hospital. And it actually knocked my shoes off, and I landed barefoot on the street going like this. What the hell just happened? And I was good. Everything was fine because my adrenaline just took over, and thank God I had a little bit of awareness, So when they talk about angels, when they talk about people protecting you and watching over you, I have to say this is a real thing, and I'm living proof of it, because there's no way, even when the paramedics came in the fire department, they looked at the car, and I was standing next to the guy, and he I swear he went like this. He goes, "Hey, where's the guy that got hit by that car?" And I'm standing right here next to him, and I tapped, and I said, I did that. He goes, "That was me." And he looked at me. He had to do a double take. He looked at the car. He looked at me again. He's like, "Dude, I've never seen a car look like that." He goes, "What are your bones made out of? Like adamantium? You're like Wolverine or something." Because it looked really bad, and I don't look at the pictures anymore of the car because it brings back these really bad.
And you had no broken bones?
I had no broken bones. Yeah. And the sad thing about this story is I'm happy that I'm alive. I'm not in crutches. I'm not, in a wheelchair or anything. But I went through 5 years of court and going to, physical therapy, acupuncture, and all this stuff I had to do. And because I got hit by a car walking, guess who has to pay the medical bills? This guy right here. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my doing, but it happened. And I had to go I mean, this went as far as I can take it. It went to trial and everything. It was like a full-on thing. And it just took a lot of energy, but it made me very wise. It made me extra alert when I'm driving now. And I have a little bit of PTSD when I'm driving through a crosswalk and I see a woman with her baby and she wants to cross the street. I'm like 100 feet back now. I don't care who's honking at me. But you start becoming ultra sensitive to these things. And what I want to say to finish this off is just make sure you're aware, survey your scene, take a look around. You know, don't be texting and driving. Don't text and walk, which is even worse, because cars just don't see you. And if you're texting and walking, and if somebody's driving and texting, I mean, that's just a cocktail for a nightmare. And a lot of people don't make it out. You know, I'm very lucky. I'm lucky my legs didn't go under the car. My head just got ran over. Luckily, I because of stunts, I knew where I was, my body awareness, and I knew how to land, and I knew how to insulate my landing. So that's the only reason why I'm alive today.
Thank God.
You were saying it's these things. Now, they're good, but, you know, you put them away, and, you know, while you were thinking, I was just thinking, it's not about that. It's not about looking at that. It's more about this.
Uniting.
The connection.
Uniting.
Being with each other. Being with each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength and unity, you know, and when you're even eating, when I was in Italy, just a quick story, this had such a profound impact on me, as simple as it sounds. We were at dinner. I worked on a film with an Italian production, and we were actually in Morocco at the time, but with all these Italian guys. So I'm sitting there, and I noticed they take their phones and they stack them up. So there was like 25 cell phones on the table, like this big, in the middle of the table. And this was it. They said, whoever touches their phone has to pay for the whole bill. So it's pretty cool. So that's something that you can do. So we had a really nice, like, hour and a half, 2-hour dinner, and we had the best connection. We laughed, we had wine, we hung out, we talked, and it was this amazing experience. And I thought, man, not one time did anybody pick up their phone. So that's something that I think anybody can learn from, is just to be fully immersed, fully present with the person in front of you and connect, and just ask them, you know, genuinely, how's your day, how's things, how's life, and, you know, it really goes a long way. And I think that we kind of become a little desensitized in this world, this digital world. Unplug and disconnect and get grounded. You know, take your shoes off, go walk outside on the grass, on the beach, and feel the Earth's, you know, natural magnetic pull that we're wearing shoes all day long. We can't connect anymore like we used to in ancient times. So it's good to do that, and I think that's something we're missing. So. And it's good for your health. You know, I think one thing that the longest living people in the world, after studying this, after looking at the Okinawans and looking at the people from India and the Hunza people that live in the northeastern part of the Himalayas, what they do is that most of them are barefoot, and it's because they're connected, and they live so poorly. They have, like, I mean, the best water and the best this. Sometimes they don't even have food to eat. But one thing that I noticed that they have in common is that a lot of them walk barefoot. And they're connected, and they breathe a lot, and they wake up and they give thanks to what they have. They're fully they're in gratitude. They have an attitude of gratitude all the time. So that's something that I think any generation could learn from, whether you're a baby boomer, whether you're a millennial, whether you're born in the 70s, 80s. It doesn't matter. I think that's something that we can all learn from. Is sometimes learning from the past.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. You guys.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to show one more video clip of Peter. Then we're going to take a break. You'll be able to ask questions during, because he's going to be here the next hour, and then he's going to be here for lunch to mingle as well. So you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to just show one more video, and then we'll take a little break.
I might have one more video later to show that I haven't showed anybody, and it's I cannot show anybody this, but it's yeah. This woman's bad right here. She's bad. These are. So the story behind that is we were supposed to have this shoot, right? This fitness photo shoot for the thing, because her and I are endeavoring in this fitness lifestyle, platform, this community, and we were going to cancel this shoot because it was raining. It's like the one day it rains in LA, and I said, I tell you what, I think we should do it anyways. Let's do it in the rain. Rain or shine. And she says, God, you know what? We're going to do that. And so I can see her get really excited about it, because that's the kind of mindset she has. It doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, if there's lava coming out of the earth, she's going to do this still. And I think that's why she's the best at what she does. And it's really inspiring to be around people like that, because they just bring out the best in you. And so, yeah, we went ahead and did it anyways. Rain or shine.
You bring out the best in each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you,
all.
my friend.
Appreciate it. Nice to have you.